host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Kumar Vijayendra, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Please enjoy Kumar Vijayendra. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Kumar Vijayendra, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited for you to join me to chat about creativity. But before we travel down that road, if you wouldn't mind letting our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's one of the most easy and most difficult questions always. So I own a couple of businesses. My first business is logistics and transportation, especially in the last mile delivery space. I have another business which is in the space of pharmaceutical drug testing and all that space. Mm-hmm. What I'm really passionate about is enabling small business owners all around us towards the whole idea of embracing sustainability. And that's what my book is about. So that book is essentially is from one small business owner to others, especially because the way I see it, for small business owners, the problems and the solutions are different than they exist for, say, the multinational conglomerates of the world.
Yeah.
So that's what my first book is about. And my speaking is mainly about spreading that message. It is through conferences, meetings, podcasts like this. So that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. I live in Hollister, California. I have 2 young daughters. That's my life.
Nice. Wonderful. What is the name of your book?
Thank you. It is called The Sustainable Entrepreneur.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there is a tagline underneath that. It says how you can care for the planet and still have a profitable business.
So important.
For most of us as small business owners, when we are grappling with basic questions like where does my next payroll come from? And you're a small business owner, you could relate to some part of it.
Absolutely.
So, then we think, okay, you know what, let us push off the what do I want to be able to meet the survival.
Yeah.
Essentially, that book talks about this is what is going to happen always. So that books talk about how to realign the strategy, the whole strategic aspect of your business. So that, it sort of flows in the life of your business rather than being an add-on. If you do that, that's what's going to make you a sustainable entrepreneur, which will get you profit, which will make you profitable, but not profitable just for the heck of it. Profit, you will be taking care of profit. More importantly, your people, taking care of the planet, and all of that will be aligned with your true purpose. Because I'm a believer of the fact that anyone who chose the path of entrepreneurship chose it because he or she was driven by a cause much bigger than their, than just their regular day-to-day survival needs.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving us the rundown, and we'll make sure that links go in show notes so people have access and where to find it. And it sounds like quite a bit of creativity goes into being a sustainable entrepreneur. But before we kind of wander down that path, I'm curious, what does it mean to you to be creative?
I see creativity as an expression of my true self. So I'm a firm believer in the fact that all of us have been made a little different. And whatever you believe in, God, destiny, karma, nature, existence, you name it, whichever way you want it. But then all of us have our different strengths, preferences, likes, dislikes. Creativity is the natural, fullest expression of our own selves. And my expression is going to be very different from yours.
Yeah.
It's going to be very different from someone else's. So it's the fruition of that ultimate self, that self with a capital S, is how I would like to define creativity.
I love it. I think that's such a important way to define creativity. And it made me think of kind of the expression, how our true self-expression changes over time, witnessing your daughter's true self-expression now at the ages they are versus where they will journey to and what their true self-expression. So I love that it's kind of this evolving experience of creative ownership and expression of self. So thank you for that.
And you know what, you mentioned something really important. A lot of us, there is a lot of conversation around finding the true passion, which will keep me on for my entire life. And I was in that space until there was a time in my life when I sort of gave up on that. And I think, my current understanding is that you got to change, you will have different passions, different interests, different kind of reflections of yourself, different expressions of your creativity as you progress in your life. If you're not having that, maybe there is something out of place. This is how nature made us, everything in nature, everything in the universe evolves. Nothing stays static. So can't we. So there can be not like, okay, you know what, I have to find that one thing that I am going to be doing for the next 80 years, 90 years. Nah. Today, what calls me, if I can go all out with all myself behind that, after that mission, I could be in the space of creativity.
Absolutely. I love that reminder that we're designed to grow and change. And we have seasons, and just like nature, there's hibernation and growth and kind of some struggle that we can go through. I'm curious, in your own experience, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did creativity kind of help you move through them?
So, coming back to my definition of creativity, as I said, it's the fruition of my own self with a capital S. I think that fruition is inhibited by a few things. And those are the challenges, and that's what answers this question. In my life, whenever I have lived in or been in what I would like to use, I'd like to use the commonly used word survival mode, where fear, anxiety, or the sense of lack, the sense of not being okay, is what dominates my then paradigm. In those spaces, I am not being creative. So what hinders me, or what has hindered me, or what still does, is wherever fear stops me. And more important than that, wherever the whole sense of not being okay stops me, it makes me small. So, as I said, it's an expression of my own self. Expression happens in sort of, blossoming. And then if something which is curtailing it, that's the sense of lack of okayness. And unfortunately, almost, everything around us, a large number of things around us are built in a way to make us realize, to make us believe, to make us feel that we are not okay. That the way I think, the way I talk, the way I look, what I wear, kind of, everything is not okay.
Yeah.
And we keep on kind of, we are driven to randomly kind of, go on, okay, let me fix this, let me fix this, let me fix this. And that mad search, and I'm using the word mad, it's harsh, but then it is essentially driven by someone else. That is what has created multi-billion-dollar industries, take from fitness to makeup to like you name it.
Right.
If we can restore our sense of being okay, the self fruitions and it blossoms, and then that's what leads to creativity.
So how would someone reconnect with that sense of self if they find themselves in that space of not being okay or fear?
So honestly, I don't have a mantra for that. I don't have an answer for that. But then I can share my journey.
Yeah.
So there are multiple times in my life, there have been multiple times, and I still get in that mode.
Mm-hmm.
What brings me back is the more I'm aware about this, and because I communicate this with people, with like-minded people who believe, who understand,
Mm-hmm.
they help me. So essentially, my awareness and that group, that companionship, people who
Yeah.
think alike, who can, when I'm in a tunnel, when especially the lack of okayness is a space of being in a tunnel.
Yeah.
If I have someone who can, show to me, or who can kind of, just guide me out of it, just
Mm-hmm.
that little nudge, that does the trick. Because when I'm in the tunnel, I am so deep in the tunnel, I can't see beyond it.
Right.
Until the whole Newton's concept of inertia.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder that it's okay to reach out to your support system, your partners, your team, to be able to help guide you out of what you're calling the tunnel you find yourself in.
Even for my work and business, and I thankfully have a very good support system.
Mm-hmm.
I have a business coach who helps me, who I talk to every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he helps me see a lot of things. There is this whole dimension in business coaching. I've been trained as an executive coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't practice that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this whole dimension of the, things that I don't know. And I don't know that I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the things that actually regulate my life.
Mm.
So a business coach or a partner who knows you well, or your, or your meetup groups, whatever works best for you, are those people who can shed light on the I don't know, and I don't know that I don't know.
Yeah. That's great. Absolutely. Now, you strike me as someone who finds a lot of inspiration and has a lot of curiosity about things. I mean, the different businesses that you have and the different things that you do in your own life. Who or what inspires you these days?
I have, so essentially, there are some common names. I'm in the space of entrepreneurship, so there are some common names like, Steve Jobs, inspired, But along with that, so as everyone, I'm almost fascinated. I'm, almost like a god status. That's how I look up at Steve Jobs and even Elon Musk, partly, despite despite some of his statements and some of his interests. But then,
Sure.
But then, other than that, there are people. So those are the people who inspire me, and there are people who support me, and I have a very strong, robust system of fellow entrepreneurs. Thankfully, being in the Silicon Valley, being in California, I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
They are the biggest support system and inspiration.
Nice.
In my day-to-day questions, answers, existence, shedding light on the unknowns, to being, okay, you know what? He's done that. Let's go ahead and do that. They help me always push the horizons. Whenever I start thinking that, hey, you know what? I'm doing 3 things in my life and I'm doing great, I end up meeting, someone in my team, and they're like doing more things than me, and they are doing amazingly well, and they have a much better mental balance. I'm like, how the hell do you do it? And, and we support each other. So that company support structure is huge.
Yeah, it absolutely is so important to surround yourself with people who cheer you on, challenge you, ask you the tough questions, and are also able to help guide you through your own challenges as well. Now, just to take a little sidestep, I'm always so curious when I talk about creativity with people about kind of early experiences of creativity. So if you think about your early life, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
It's interesting that you bring it up. my earliest memory of being creative is, I believe I would have been in grade 6th or 7th.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my first poem.
Mm.
And that was a surprise even for me, because I used to think that I have zero creativity, zilch creativity.
Yeah.
Especially because then my understanding was that creativity is arts, it's painting. That's how I used to see it.
Right.
And I was really bad at painting. And again, not to blame someone or something, my teacher, my friend, my best friend then, and this is also one of the ways in which people kill creativity. My best friend was really good in arts and painting. And in an exam, in a drawing exam, me and my best friend, both of us were doing the arts work. And of course, he was really skilled. He did a great job, and I did a really bad job. And my teacher gave me that look, which was like, which almost made me feel worthless.
Yeah.
And, it sort of killed something in me. And I would have been in grade 3rd or 4th. I still remember her. I still remember that look.
Yeah.
It sort of killed everything in me until I was in grade 7th, and that's my earliest memory. I wrote my first poem. It was about something which I was interested and passionate about then, which was how spirituality and religion can kind of, restore a lot of things. So I was interested in such things. That was my first poem. And then I started writing poetry. And I did that for quite a few years. And I used to say that, it is as if there is like a god, a deity of poetry. I used to tell people, it's not that if you tell me to write right now, I can do it. An inspiration dawns on me, and then I go ahead and write something. And, then I got a little appreciation, and then I kind of restored my faith in my own expression of creativity.
I love that journey of coming back to your own experience and expression of creativity. Is poetry something that you still do in your life?
No. So I used to be doing poetry up until like a few years ago. And then as expressions, as we spoke about it, your expressions changes.
Yeah.
These days, my main expression is in creating businesses, conceptualizing ideas, trying to solve problems, helping other clients in, I've written one book. There are 2 more books which are in pipeline. Again, the whole space of inspiring small businesses based on my interaction with fellow small business owners, both from my community support group and even outside. So right now, those are the expressions which are kind of, exciting me and keeping me awake and energetic.
Nice. I love that. It's very helpful to have those things in your life that keep that energy going, that creative spark alive. Now, I imagine with the various number of people that you interact with on a regular basis, you meet people who, like you said early on, didn't believe you were creative in the sense that you do now. How would you encourage others to find creativity in their lives?
So a couple of things. I think, one of the biggest and the easiest way to get there would be to find the right group. And I think this can work. This can be much more effective than many other solutions, because, and your group, it should ideally be in the area in which you know or you want your expression of creativity to be in at this point of time. So, for example, my 7-year-old daughter loves painting. I don't have a painting bone in me, as I told you about the story, right?
Yeah.
But she's really good in it. So her company, if her company is of 3 or 4 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 6-year-olds who have arts and painting as a form of creativity, she will naturally bloom in that. If I try to, kind of almost force or coax her to have her expression of creativity in, say, something else, it's like a flower. You can either let it bloom, or if you apply force, it will just die. My suggestion would be, number one, find the right set of people who are already in the space that you want to be in. And then everyone says that all of us are in the same journey of trying to do that, trying to reduce or shut at least reduce the sound from outside, and it is so loud.
Mm-hmm.
I say sound, all your social media, all your TV and everything, trying to reduce the sound and trying to go within.
Mm-hmm.
Do that with prayer, with meditation, with gym, like whatever works for you is fine. But that trying to go within, connecting to your own self. And so I'm working on a book in a short while, and the title of that book is going to be, and I'm revealing it in your podcast, is going to be Say No to Change. That sounds a little like, what do you mean? Say no to change until it comes from within, until it is driven by you rather than just trying to hanker for the next best thing. So one thing, to answer your question again, I said company.
Yeah.
Second thing is reducing the sound from outside a little by being more internally driven. Sometimes prayer, meditation, gym, like whatever works for you.
Yeah. And
letting that be the guide rather than the next best influencer on YouTube or Instagram or
Yeah, those are great reminders. And as you were talking, I found myself wanting to close my eyes and reconnect with myself, and recognizing how resourcing and resourceful that really can be, and being able to recognize when we need to have a little more inward focus, internal attention. So thank you for that reminder.
You know what? There is a retreat center I go to every single month, once a day, and that's up until now, that's all the time I can find. I know I can do more, but that's the best I do.
Sure.
That retreat center, it's like 20-30 minutes away from where I live in California. All Mount Madonna Center. I'm not sort of campaigning for them or something.
Sure.
But just the whole advantage of going to a retreat center. The best things there is very bad phone signal there. So
you're forced to let your phone sit aside.
That day, the first couple hours, there'll be resistance. I want to look at my phone. I want to kind of do the regular things. And after that, something quietens in me. And then mountains, kind of just sitting or meditating or doing something.
Yeah.
I come up with the best ideas for impacting my business, for my self-care, for my family.
Yeah.
And my best ideas come from those states of relaxation rather than the state of kind of hankering and running around and kind of checking off lists from my to-do.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these pieces and your life and your stories. I have one last question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
That's a very powerful question. In my deep states of meditation or in retreat, for me, it is like, an opening in the heart. Now, it might sound new if I try to explain it, people are like, what do you mean? But then it's like an expansion in my chest, emanating from my heart, where my heart is, to an expansion in my chest, which sort of flows out. Which sort of flows out in an expression. That's my expression. Most of my meditation is unregulated. That is what it is. It's kind of, just putting in that state, and then that state of calmness leads to a state of expansion, a state of connectedness with things within. That's a totally different state. That's how I connect to it in my body.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I had a visceral response hearing you talk about heart expansion and connectedness. And thank you for taking the time to chat with me. If people want to learn more about the things that you do, your books, how could they go about doing that?
I have a book. I have a website. I have a website. It is called IamKumarV.com.
Okay.
So my website, or I am available on Instagram, Facebook, similar handles, Kumar_V, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. My book is, as I said, called The Sustainable Entrepreneur by Kumar Vijayendra. So you can find me at all of these places. Please connect to me. As fellow humans, all of us are walking each other home. If we can connect all of us, those little connections can make the world better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I will put all these links in show notes so people have easy access. And it has been such a treat to chat with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.